Hi, I'm Mr. Ramage, and this video lesson is going to provide a brief overview of the United States Bill of Rights. For this lesson, I'm going to be using a standard from the state of Ohio, which focuses on the constitutional protections for individual liberties and limits on governmental power. So when the Constitution was approved by the convention, it was sent off to the states for ratification. The Federalists, those people that supported the ratification of the Constitution, and the Anti-Federalists, those who opposed it, debated this issue in many of the states. Massachusetts was one of the ones where the debate was relatively close and ratification was in jeopardy. Well, compromise had to be reached, and James Madison proposed a compromise to the state of Massachusetts, who wanted amendments added to the Constitution in order to guarantee civil liberties to the people and protect citizens from this new, more powerful federal government. After Madison promised to add amendments to the Constitution, Massachusetts ratified the Constitution. This is known as the Massachusetts Compromise. So, now that the Constitution is law and the federal government moves forward, James Madison has to make good on his promise and introduce those amendments to the House of Representatives, which he does on June 8, 1789. 17 proposed amendments were actually introduced into Congress, and after some debate and discussion, both houses passed 12 of these proposed amendments. Well, on December the 15th, 1791, those 10 amendments are ratified by the states, and they become what is known as the Bill of Rights, which is then added to the Constitution. So we're going to take a look at what actually is in the Bill of Rights. What are the individual liberties that are being protected? And by protecting these individual liberties, what we're doing is actually limiting governmental power. By protecting and securing these rights, we're essentially telling the government that you cannot do these certain things and or you cannot take these things away from us. These individual liberties make sure that the government does not extend its power too far and trample upon our rights. Now, the First Amendment, of course, most people know, secures the individual liberties of freedom of speech, religion, the press, to petition the government, and to peacefully assemble. The Second Amendment, of course, secures your right to own a firearm. The Third Amendment is a carryover from the colonial days where British soldiers were quartered in people's homes. The Third Amendment protects us from that. The government cannot force us in times of peace to provide quarter for soldiers. The Fourth Amendment protects us from illegal search and seizures, that you need to be safe in your possessions and your valuables, and the government must present a probable cause to search or seize your possessions. The Fifth Amendment is a long list of individual liberties. In regards to capital crimes, you need to be indicted by a grand jury. You are protected from double jeopardy. You're protected against testifying against yourself. You are guaranteed the due process of law, and you have the rights to private property. The Sixth Amendment also provides a long list of civil liberties. You have the rights to a speedy trial, an impartial jury, to be informed of any charges levied against you, to have the right to question witnesses who are there to testify against you in any trial, as well as to call witnesses in your own defense, and of course, you have the rights to a lawyer. The Seventh Amendment guarantees your right to have a jury in a civil case. That's a case between you and somebody else. The Eighth Amendment provides you from protection against reasonable bail and fines, as well as cruel or unusual punishment. Now, the Ninth Amendment means that you have more rights than what are listed here in the Bill of Rights. One of the arguments made during the debate between Federalists and Anti-Federalists was that if you began to make a list of rights, what would happen, let's say, if you left some of those rights off of the list? Even though that there are rights not listed in the Constitution, it does not mean that you do not have those rights. So rights not listed in the Constitution belong to the people. They are retained by the people. So if it's not in the Bill of Rights, that doesn't mean that you don't have it. And the 10th Amendment to the Constitution preserves the power of the states, that those powers are reserved. So powers not belonging to the federal government, belong to the people and to the states respectively. So that is a very basic and very brief look at the Bill of Rights as a means of protecting our individual liberties and placing limits on governmental power. Thanks for watching this video lesson, and I hope that you learned something.